Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this month's High Vibe Tribe group video book review that we do every month here at the Mind, Body, Spirit Network. And we invite in some of our gifted members, whoever's available, to share a book. And we want you to stick around and add to your, what Cheryl calls, spiritual library or healing library, some really great books. And then typically, since we're all healer types, we all have interesting stories to share around these topics, and we're likely to provide aha moments for all of you. So we're going to get started right here. We're going to start with Liz Bigger. Liz, you're up.
Hi, I'm Liz Bigger. I'm the owner of Butterfly Healing and Wellness. I'm an intuitive transformational healer. I help my clients live into their dreams and go to where anything and everything is possible through Reiki, sound healing, angel therapy, and oracle cards. I'm in Stafford, Virginia. So I'll just go ahead and start with my book. The book I chose, this is a book I read like 4 or 5 years ago when I first started my journey. The name of the book is called Guided, if you could see it. And it's by Hans Christian. I got a dog here, so sorry about that. Hans Christian King. Somebody's outside, so he's gonna let me know. But this book was so important to me in the beginning of my journey. And I kind of wanted to say a little bit about where I was when I found this book. I was in a place where I'd been diagnosed with a digestive issue called leaky gut syndrome. And I was actually just terrified of food. And you have to eat. But so many things made me sick that I just really needed to, and I was told by 3 people who I trust and who were kind of my leaders and my guides, my teachers, that I needed to learn to listen to my intuition. And I really didn't even know what that was. So when I found this book, I really wanted to be able to hear my intuition, and so that I could intuitively know the things that are good for me and the things that are bad for me in the food world, and this book really blew it open. It was so much more than what I expected. When I started reading it, I wasn't trying to be psychic. I really just wanted to be able to hear my intuition, to be able to know the good from the bad for me. And I love this book so much because the way he wrote this book, it's a very easy read. He doesn't get very preachy. It's very conversational, the way that it reads, and I really love that. The chapters all build on each other, and when I looked at the table of contents, it doesn't necessarily seem like the chapters go together. He really based it on spiritual principles, as much as it's not like, do this, do this, do this, do this. It's like spiritual principles, and this is how you can practice them, and this is how it will help you find your intuition. And he gives you, in the beginning, he gives you a suggestion on how to read this book. So you can read this book as it's written, because it does build on itself. But he also said, intuitively, feel like jumping ahead to a different chapter, you can do that too, and it'll be just fine. He says that it's good to read this book with a journal, and so that as he's saying different things, you can journal out like how that comes to you, how that resonates with you. And then at the end of every chapter, and this was the thing I really liked, was at the end of every chapter, he has a little section called Bringing It Home, and he actually gives you like exercises and things that you can do to increase what he talks about in the chapter, the different things. And one of the things that he did that I really loved was he broke down, it's called the anatomy of, I'm not going to be able to remember what it was, the anatomy of spirit, I think it was, is what he calls it, the anatomy of spirit. And then, but he breaks it down as to, this is clairvoyance, this is clairsentience, this is psychic, and I needed that because I'd heard the words, but I didn't know what they meant. But at the end of each one, it's like, he really stresses how we are all really capable of tapping into these things. The things that hold us back are the obstacles. And so that's what he says. He says the quality of the message will be determined by the obstacles that we put in front of, in the way of us getting that message. And that really broke me open, because I've always felt kind of intuitive, and I don't know about psychic, but and it also helped me with the language, because I was really afraid of psychic. I was like, ooh, psychic is a certain thing, and I didn't get messages when I was 4, so I can't be psychic. But as I started on this journey, and this is one of the first books I read, but over the course of the last 4 years, I'm still using a lot of what he told me about in the beginning. And it's just like blossomed. You know, I found Reiki and I got, you know, attunements, and it just, that was a huge obstacle clearer. It just cleared a bunch of obstacles, and I started getting like much clearer messages. And, you know, and so whatever you're trying to do in your life, whether you're just trying to hear your intuition or you're really trying to develop your psychic abilities or your clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairaudience, which I didn't even know was a different thing. And then there's the smell one too, which I can't remember the name of that. But this was just such a really good beginner book for me. And it's just, I forgot about this book. I was looking through my Kindle and I was like, oh, I'm going to do that book, because it was one of the first books I read that really just broke it open for me and made it doable, made it possible. So that's what I have, and I will pass it to whoever's next.
That's a good one, Liz, because I know a lot of people are now becoming more aware of their own intuition. It's like, I just want to be able to trust what I feel. But what's interesting about what you said is that our beliefs can still block. If you hear messages you don't want to hear, it's because there's some kind of crappy filter going on over it, right? Am I getting that?
Absolutely, that's the way I understand it. And the trusting it for me is one step further. I mean, this was me like getting the messages, but the actually trusting it, that takes practice and time too, because so many times it doesn't make sense in like the real world. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, that's not what I should do. But you're getting this big, strong message, like, this is what you should do.
Right.
And it's only when you do it a few times, like, even though it doesn't make any sense and it works out great and it turns out to be exactly what it needed to be, that you start to trust. And it's a practice. It takes practice.
Definitely.
Can I add what I learned for myself in the beginning, and I hope you can hear me well?
Yes.
Is, when I would, because I wanted to hear, however that comes, and things would come, and I'm like, I don't know, that could have just been my own mind. I don't know what that was. I would question it. And what would happen is someone would say the same thing to me like the next day. So I'm like, okay. Like it's like I needed some kind of confirmation to believe it for myself. And so Spirit gave it to me outside of me. And that helped a lot.
Cool. Cheryl, what's your experience? I know, Liz, you've come a long way, because when I've worked with you, you're getting intuitive hits seemingly the whole time. And so when it comes to helping others, it's easier, I'm sure, because there's nothing in your way helping others.
Well, the thing I had to learn about my messages too is like, I can't do parlor tricks, and not that people do, but like, I wanted to get it a certain way. I wanted these certain messages so that I could prove to people that I'm psychic, clairvoyant, whatever. And that's not how it comes to me. And I had to just learn to accept that the messages I get are normally around people's health and for healing purposes. And so if you want to ask me a question, is your husband cheating on you? Unless it's going to heal you, like, I'm not going to get that answer. So I just had to learn how my messages come, at least right now.
Right.
And that's, so, I mean, as long as you're willing to accept the messages the way they come, I tend to get the intuitive hit.
Right. So you can always turn that right back around. You know if your husband's cheating on you or not. You're intuitive. If you got that question. It's like, what do you think?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a wonderful gift, Liz, that you have about being a medical intuitive. I mean, that's a phenomenal gift. And I know that must help out, just many, many people. So it's really a gift.
It is. And I enjoy it so much. And that's another thing, that's another level of practice where you're actually tell the people what you get, because so many times I'll second guess myself, oh, well, that doesn't make sense, and the few times that I just tell it, like whatever comes, I feel like I have to say it or I wouldn't have gotten it. And I'm always surprised. I'm just like, oh, well, I didn't see that at all, but okay, it makes perfect sense to you, then good,
Yeah.
So.
Cool. All right, Cheryl, you're up.
Okay.
Pin you up. There you go.
Sure. Thanks, Liz, for having me. I'm Cheryl Murphy. I'm a spiritual medium and psychic located in the greater Los Angeles area. My book recommendation for today is called The Energy of Prayer by Thich Nhat Hanh. And this is, it's called How to Deepen Your Spiritual Practice. So this is an older book that I just started rereading the other day. And I can't tell you how spot on this gentleman is. Thich Nhat Hanh, he's a Vietnamese Buddhist monk. He's a poet, he's a scholar. He was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by Martin Luther King back in 1967. So the reason why I like Thich Nhat Hanh, and there are several books on him, I think he's written over 100 books. Once again, he's a poet and a scholar. But these books, any book you pick up from him will bring you into the present moment. This particular book, The Energy of Prayer, it talks about the importance of prayer, why we pray, and even how to pray. He talks about how to sit and listen to your breath, which it's always coming back to our breath and mindfulness. But one of these things that he says right in the book, someone wrote this about him, the act of praying is not just an empty wish, because behind each prayer, there's a practice of mindfulness and concentration. And I believe what he's saying is if we are more in the present moment, if we are more connected to the earth, if we're more connected to our bodies, that's when we're activating and creating that power of prayer to have even more energy. And so he's such a lovely man. He talks about, we should be so grounded that our feet kiss the earth as we walk, right? And about how we should fill our bodies with the breath and with the quietness in the mind, and that each act, even drinking a cup of tea, putting the cup of tea up to your mouth could be a meditation. Like that could be an act of grace and sacredness. So once again, this practice of spiritual practice book, I believe it gives you an overall solid foundation for any field that you're going into, whether it's, a spiritual alternative healing practice, or even your daily, if you're a lawyer, a doctor, if you're an accountant, so to speak, if you have a traditional job, anything to bring you back into the peacefulness of the moment. Therefore, you're free to create and manifest anything you want in this world. And as we know, the power of prayer does exist, because you know that when people are praying for one another, studies have shown that person does receive a healing or get better. So, but Thich Nhat Hanh is actually in his 90s right now. He's 92. So, I believe there's another book coming from him very soon, but he's such a giving person and such an eloquent writer. So it's called The Energy of Prayer. So thanks for letting me recommend that. I hope you enjoy that.
Thanks, Cheryl.
You're welcome.
So it's interesting. We're talking about prayer, and I've been really doing a lot of work around prayer, kind of in alignment. And I have this new prayer that I'm using, which is super simple. And this could apply to anyone, accountants, lawyers, doctors, every one of us, whatever your intention is. My intention is to align with the spiritual essence of one who is this way at a higher level. So my intention is to align with the spiritual essence of someone who receives abundantly. This is something many women could stand to align with. To receive abundantly and graciously. Or the spiritual essence of one who takes care of the body and understands that we are not the body, but we do care to take care of it. And I love that he talked about grounding. I have not been grounded for a long time.
If I may just say, he talks about the miracle. Like a lot of times when we expect a miracle or we're looking for a miracle, sometimes people look outside themselves or they want to connect, in these otherworldly manners. And he says, wait a minute, there's miracles every day. They're in the clouds, they're in the skies, they're in the curious eyes of a child. Like there are miracles happening every day here on earth, and how fortunate and how rich our life should be or can be, on this planet. So very much about grounding. Thank you for bringing that up, Liz. Yeah, he's very much about being in the here and now. Yeah. And being present. Yeah.
I have to say, having not been grounded for a long time, it's a very different feeling to be grounded. You feel much more safe, for one thing. You feel safe and
safe. You feel safe, you feel mindful and peaceful, and that everything is a miracle. That way, then everything becomes a miracle in your day. And nothing is unachievable. Everything is attainable. Everything is possible, right? So he's very positive influence in my life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cheryl.
You're welcome.
All right, Linda Armstrong, let me pin you to the board. There you go.
Okay, so I'm Linda Armstrong. I'm an energy healer and an awakening coach.
You're a little hard to hear, Linda. Maybe.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Sorry.
I'm Linda Armstrong. I'm an awakening coach and an energy healer. And I help people to just clear the subconscious programming, limiting beliefs, patterns, programs that are just running in the background that get in the way and prevent us from moving forward in our lives. This is all just past nonsense that can get in the way. So we just want to clear that, be in that present moment and live from the here and the now. So anyway, that's pretty much what I do. My book today is, and you could only get it on Audible. It's an Audible original. It's called The Man on the Mountaintop. Now, I don't know if we're going to get a good picture of that or not, but Liz will have an image of that. It's one of their original books, and Stanley Tucci, I believe, is the narrator for it. And there's all these different voices. It's like a little play in a book, and it's about this monk who lives in a hermitage on the top of a mountain, and all of these people would stand online like for miles to get to see him for even a moment. And so the book is all about these stories of people's experiences, whether it's the impatient one causing problems on the line, one who just wants to see spiritual monk, this enlightened person supposedly, and finally gets up to I'll give you one little story. Finally gets up to the door, knocks on the door, and this old man, that all the monks there are dressed in the same clothing, opens the door, and this guy's like, I gotta see the monk right now. Like, he was very demanding like that. And this old man takes him through the hermitage to the back door and out, right? And the guy's like, no, but I have to see the monk. He's like, well, you've seen him. And that was it, So so many different stories. And then you hear what that guy thought, and it totally changed his life by just knowing where he was coming from. And there are so many stories that bring in so many different aspects of life. And it goes even deeper. I don't even want to give anything away. It's just really an easy listen. It's like listening to a show. I listen in my car driving back and forth, and I don't even want to get out of the car because I'm like, oh, I got to hear the next story. So there's a lot of lessons, a lot of subtle lessons within this book that really help you to look within your own self as you listen.
Thank you, Linda. Could you show that again, the cover of that?
And read that title out again, Linda.
It's called The Man on the Mountaintop by Susan Trott, narrated by Stanley Tucci and a whole bunch of other people. a lot of actors. It's like a little play in an audio. And you get to know all the different characters. It really comes to life.
Cool. That's a good one.
That is a good one. I love learning through storytelling, and parables, and it's just so great.
Yeah, sometimes you don't even realize where the story's going or what the purpose is of this earlier story on the line, waiting to get up there, until later on, how it all ties in together and brings up just so many things to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us for this month's High Vibe Tribe book reviews. And to our listening audience, I want to invite you, if you're interested in connecting with any one of these healers, they're all fantastic in their own way. You'll see links below this video to connect with Cheryl, Linda, or Liz. So we also have, we've been doing this now for, almost 2 years. So we have a lot of past videos you can see as well. So I invite you, thank you for listening in. If you enjoyed this conversation and our book reviews, please let us know in the comments below. We'll see you next month.